Logan stood by the window in the office and watched through the streams of water on the glass as a beautiful woman entered the building. Logan followed her with his eyes, knowing that in 5 minutes his colleague would be inside the office. And then the door opened, and the beautiful woman entered the office, with red curls falling spectacularly over her shoulders. Today, Jennifer was especially sad, and when she looked at Logan, the sadness in her eyes made the man's chest ache. He really liked Jennifer, and Logan already could hardly contain his desire, realizing that he dreamt only of her. Jennifer had a well-to-do husband with a rugged temperament, and Logan was married to a simple and modest woman. The whole office was watching this drama and did not miss a chance to discuss over the lunch hour how two hearts in love were tormenting each other. Of course, everyone thought they were lovers, but in fact, neither Logan nor Jennifer made any attempt to be together. But today, seeing Jennifer's mood, Logan decided not to miss the moment, and while the office was still empty, approached her. She looked at him and, dropping her head in her arms, began to cry. She talked about her husband, about his endless nagging and unreasonable jealousy. Logan sat down beside her, trying to calm her down. She continued to cry, occasionally glancing at her watch. It was getting close to the beginning of the working day, and when she heard someone's footsteps, Jennifer quickly got up and went to the ladies' room to tidy herself up. She came back already an entirely different person. Jennifer was glowing, smiling, had a nice talk with her boss, and went back to work. Logan had always been amazed at her ability to change and that no one could guess her true mood. In the afternoon, a courier brought Jennifer a gorgeous bouquet of flowers, which she immediately put on the common table in the office. Colleagues admired it, languishing with envy, but Jennifer just looked sadly at the flowers. Her husband always did that. First he made a scandal and then sent flowers. But she no longer cared and wanted only one thing: to end this eternal nightmare. She sat thinking, and at the sight of the bouquet, her face visibly grew sad. Logan decided to act, because a quarrel with the husband was a good chance to support and console the woman, and in this way to become closer to her. So at the end of the working day, Logan asked Jennifer to accompany her, and she willingly agreed. When they left the office, it had already stopped raining, and they were walking down a long street, among trees sprinkled with golden leaves. Logan admired the beauty and was ready to grab her, to kiss her, to feel the touch of her skin, but was afraid that he would push her away with it. It is unlikely that such a beautiful woman would pay attention to a simple guy like him, especially since she worked in sales and earned more than he, a simple project manager. But, plucking up the courage, Logan suggested her to go to his place. To his great surprise, she agreed. At the doorway, Logan was afraid that one of the neighbors would see them, but when they entered the apartment, Jennifer embraced him and kissed him sensually. All doubts and fears disappeared. Logan pulled Jennifer to him, and tearing off their clothes and kissing each other, they gave themselves to the power of passion right on the living room sofa. The intimacy with Jennifer seemed to Logan at that moment the most vivid sensation of his life, and he immediately fell irrevocably in love, completely losing his head. When it was time to say goodbye, Logan called Jennifer a cab. She slipped out of the apartment, and Logan watched longingly as she got into a cab, and the yellow car disappeared into the alley. Logan returned to the apartment and began hastily cleaning up the things that he and Jennifer had scattered on the floor in a fit of passion. Jennifer stood before his eyes all the time, and memories flashed back to him again and again. Logan was surprised to notice that he felt no shame at all for having cheated on his wife a few minutes ago. He used to think he loved Rose, but there had never been such intense passion in their relationship. He married her somehow spontaneously. He just met a kind, gentle, easygoing girl, and Logan thought that she was an excellent candidate for wife. She would never throw a tantrum lacking expensive gifts or attention. Rose was a talented artist, but she lacked the self-confidence to turn her hobby into a profession. She continued to work at a large company, earning much more than Logan, but all the money went to family expenses and only a small part to paper and paints. The sound of the opening door brought Logan out of his musings. The tired wife entered the apartment, sat down on the ottoman so that she could just catch her breath from exhaustion, but then she smelled strange women's expensive perfume in the hallway. Logan only now realized that he had forgotten to air out the apartment, and the fear of being caught on the spot again seized him. Putting a nonchalant expression on his face, he kissed his wife, and she smelled the same perfume again. Her heart clutched painfully, but she did not show it and followed Logan into the kitchen. He offered her dinner, but she wanted only coffee and cheesecake. Logan threw a quick glance at Rose. At her height of 165 centimeters, she weighed about 64 kilos. He knew many men would be enthralled by such a figure, but he wanted a very different one. He wanted Jennifer. He plunged back into his memories, but his wife's voice interrupted his musings. "The chief said I was making progress and offered me the position of department head, but I'm not sure if I can do it. The salary will be double, but is it worth it?" "Of course it's worth it. Rose, you are not ambitious enough," Logan muttered, feeling himself beginning to lose his temper. "Why don't you eat normal food instead of these pastries?" "I'll do what I think is right," she replied firmly. "I have an intuitive diet, and I've already lost a little. I'm comfortable, and I'm going to keep that regimen. And about work, I want to have time to paint, and we don't need to make all the money in the world. Moreover, we have enough already." Logan was struck by her calmness. He looked at his wife and noticed that she did lose some weight, but she was very far compared to Jennifer. Not letting the vivid memories take hold of him again, Logan asked sharply when his wife would already finish the matter of her apartment. He was very annoyed that they were forced to live in a small rented apartment, while the big luxurious apartment with panoramic windows in the center of the city, which Rose had bought before the wedding, was idle. The wife indifferently shrugged her shoulders and calmly explained that the repairs to the apartment were not yet finished, so for now, everything would remain as it was. Since that day, Logan and Jennifer met in hotels. Logan did not want to get caught cheating, because then his married life with Rose would most likely end, especially now that his wife had accepted a new position, and her salary was even higher. Rose worked all day long, and she opened a card for Logan and dropped off money for his expenses. Logan was so used to it that he was perfectly happy with this family life order. He asked his wife for a car as a birthday present 2 months from now, and he spent almost all the money from the card on presents for Jennifer. But for some reason, Jennifer's passion began to fade. She became more and more annoyed with Logan, and he, on the contrary, fell more and more in love with the red-haired beauty. And then one day her irritation spilled out. Usually after work, they would go to a rendezvous at the hotel, but on this day, Jennifer for some reason pretended that Logan did not exist, and he could not understand what was going on. At the right moment, when the woman was pouring her coffee, he approached her and whispered quietly, so no one would hear, that he was ready to help her relieve the tension after work. But Jennifer abruptly cut him off, saying that it was all over between them, and went into her office. Logan did not immediately understand what had happened. He thought that Jennifer did not want to talk around because now she had a new, higher position. In addition, today he was going to tell her that he was ready to leave his wife, but apparently he chose the wrong time to talk. Logan returned to his workplace, and an hour later he went to the boss with the papers. He was so busy with the documents that he did not even knock, but simply entered the cabinet, and the words stuck in his throat from what he saw there. Logan found his beloved Jennifer kissing her boss. Logan mumbled an apology and jumped out of the room like a bullet. He threw the documents on his desk and went outside to recover. Suddenly, with all obviousness, he realized the sheer enormity of the situation. He believed the insolent, overbearing damsel and betrayed his sweet, affectionate wife, ready to do anything for him. Logan sat dejectedly on a bench in the inner backyard and did not hear Jennifer come quietly up to him. "Well, don't be mad. You're a nice guy, but I need a real man who can provide for me, not one who buys gifts with his wife's money. Go back to her, she's nice and makes a lot of money." "We've had our fun, and that's enough," the woman said, and left the guy alone. Logan still found the strength to go back to the office, where without much enthusiasm he tried to do the usual things that now mattered little to him. When his boss invited him in, they both pretended that nothing had happened and discussed work issues. Logan hardly waited until the end of the working day and was the first to leave the office, not even wanting to see Jennifer's face. Logan's heart was torn to shreds. He rushed home, hoping to mend his relationship with his wife, talk to her frankly, and even discuss their private life. He believed that all was not lost, but upon entering the apartment, he suddenly realized that neither Rose nor her belongings were in the apartment. He went to the kitchen and saw intimate photos of himself and Jennifer on the table. Logan realized that he had lost everything. 3 days later, he still decided to talk to his wife. Logan arrived at her new apartment and knocked for a long time before she opened. He noticed that Rose had lost even more weight and her eyes were swollen with tears. "Why did you come? What are you hoping for? I trusted you and you cheated on me in our house, bought your mistress gifts with my money, asked for a car from me. Why did you do this to me?" she asked through her tears. Logan was silent, unable to give her an answer. Then Rose shook her head and said that she had already filed for divorce and asked him not to come to her house ever again. The door slammed shut, and Logan was left alone in the stairwell. He despondently went downstairs and stood at the entryway, looking up wistfully to where his almost ex-wife remained behind the gleaming panoramic windows of the expensive apartment. He thought that he had seriously miscalculated in life, and now he was going to pay for everything. A month later, their marriage was dissolved. 3 years had passed. Logan stood at the bus stop and waited for the bus. He still worked at the same job. An arrogant girlfriend was waiting for him at home, always throwing tantrums at him, but it seemed better to him than being alone. An expensive car pulled up to the bus stop, the window rolled down, and Logan was amazed to see Rose. He could hardly recognize her. The woman had lost a lot of weight and had grown prettier. She offered Logan a ride and he agreed with pleasure. Logan noticed that the car was new and suddenly asked, "Did your husband give it to you?" "No, I'm not married and I don't even have a boyfriend," Rose said with a chuckle. "I'm perfectly capable of supporting myself and I don't need anyone. I don't want to take any more chances. My relationship with you taught me a lot, and I don't want to get stabbed in the back again. Now I'm finally just painting in my own studio, and I'm happy." Logan secretly hoped that he could still turn the conversation around so that he could make peace with her, but he quickly realized that it was too late. She had made it clear that she would no longer allow herself to be dragged into such a relationship where she would only be used. After dropping Logan off, Rose left, and he watched the departing car for a long time, and then, with a heavy sigh, waddled to the entrance.